Okay, it's Wednesday.
You know precisely what that means.
We're gonna look at some reference and draw from it.
There's 340 pictures of musketeers in a bunch of cool poses, high resolution detail as usual. Again, really great for historical shots, but also, you know, I could totally see these being used for character designs, card illustrations, Magic the Gathering, steampunk, because you could like take all this stuff as a base and add on to it. And I think that's kind of what we're gonna try to do today. And I got the 360 turnaround of it, details of holding the gun. We won't be using gesture drawing this time. Just going to use pure ref, one image that I selected. Very simple, going to keep it straightforward. I'm going to sketch that pose, maybe sketch the costume on top of it, and potentially see where we can go with that. I might be pushing and pulling the proportions a bit here and there. Also, I have been posting about my course that I'm building. It's very close to being finished. I'll probably be hosting it on a site like Kajabi so that I'm more independent and there's no middleman taking a huge cut from the teachers. I think that's always obnoxious when schools do that. It will probably be pretty expensive, just the way it is. Most people are already paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for art school. It obviously won't be like that, but I'll be covering a lot about digital painting, everything I know about the secrets of brush economy, values, layers, textured brushes, all oriented to how to paint the face and the head and portraits, how to make your image appealing using lighting and all that. But also I'll be covering how to break down the head in a simple way. And if you've watched my videos before, you know exactly how I teach. I'm straight to the point. You always walk away learning something. But also each lesson is going to have follow-up assignments to continue doing each week's lesson over and over again until you really get it. Because there's no such thing as I'll do this one video tutorial once and then I'm good. No. It's rinse and repeat over and over again. Mileage. And this course that I'm building is the roadmap to everything I know to be able to do what it is that I do. Anyway, back to Reference Wednesday. File, new, 8.5 by 11, 300 DPI. This is pure ref. All right, it's gonna lay in that quick shoulder line. I haven't really drawn much today, so I'm gonna let this first kind of sketch be pretty loose to loosen up my muscle memory. Or my motor controls, not muscle memory. Well, both, yeah, whatever. Anyway, rib cage, got the hips, and then all the weight is bearing on this leg here, which allows this leg to kind of kick outward to be a little bit more relaxed. And he's leaning this way. I'm just going to lay in the head right there. This is very much a gestural approach. I'm going to take all this stuff and move it upward to push the proportion in a vertical manner, kind of stretch things out a little bit. And you're going to take that line for the gun, and when the gesture itself feels like it has natural weight and balance, then everything else you build on top of it will start to have that. But if at the very first part of the drawing it doesn't have that, the rest of the piece might fall apart. So get things right in the beginning and then move forward. So earlier I mentioned I want to mess with the proportions, so that's exactly what we're going to do, just as an experiment. I'm going to go ahead and press C for crop, move that over to the side so we have more room. Make that full screen by hitting F. I'm going to make this smaller. We're going to draw it again, but this time I want a more tanky version, like really big broad shoulders, large torso, and probably smaller legs, but huge arms. And we're going to try for more of like the Incredible Hulk kind of proportions. So same line over here for the shoulders. I have a huge rib cage, but this time a pretty small pelvis, right? And it's going to be like a very fun, stylized, large version of the character. So really long arms, and then a very small head. Because if you look at a lot of huge characters like Reinhardt from Overwatch, the Incredible Hulk, they tend to have smaller heads in proportion to the body to really make the body look much bigger. Okay, just gonna keep that same pose. Make the head a little bit higher. I've been playing lots and lots and lots of Bloodborne, and every new area has all these really cool characters and enemies and creatures, and the sizes and proportions of each one is just really, really inspiring and scary sometimes. There's this freaking character, it's like a brain sucker, and like it's so disturbing because you hear it walking and it sounds like bare feet on like wet floor, like plop, plop, plop. And it's like he can stun you, and once you're stunned you can't really move, and then he grabs hold of you, and you're like, oh, okay, here it goes. You can't do anything, so you have to put the controller down. You're just like waiting for like a good 10, 15 seconds. The dang thing just like has these like tentacle things come out of its head and goes into your brain, and it like sucks all your insight out of your brain. TMI. Anyway, Bloodborne's cool. Bloodborne is really cool. And I'm probably going to play Dark Souls after, or Sekiro. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Let's make the head smaller. Don't look too big. And hey, if you're drawing along, you might be picking up these ideas and concepts regarding proportion. And once we have a proportion that we like, we're going to go ahead and design on top of it. It's being fun and loose. Really no hard set rules here. All right, let's do another one, except this time we're going to go small, much smaller. Kind of like a dwarf character. Think Gimli, Torbjorn. Same thing. I'm gonna borrow that line for the shoulder. Get the rib cage in there, pelvis. We'll let the arms still be pretty big, but the difference here is we're gonna make the head bigger. Actually, if you notice, when we're doing all these, all the heads have a sort of through line and all the same size or roughly similar in size, and it's just the body that changes. And of course, that there's a variance depending on the character. It would be just really weird to see a huge head on a character in the same scene of a character that doesn't have a huge head, unless you're intending to make that kind of surreal effect. All right, cool. Very easy, very loose. Put the hat on him. Give him that gun. All right, I'm gonna make some corrections here. I feel like the balance was a bit off on this character. The one in the middle. Regarding cheating, I think teachers play an important role in our, obviously, development as artists or just people in general. And the idea is that they kind of may formulate our own axiomatic assumptions of the world and how art is, how it should be. And the worst thing a teacher could do is see a student do something and say, oh, don't do that, that's cheating. Things like blending with your thumb, like on a pencil drawing, or using the eraser, or using construction lines. Like it's so stupid to look at something like that and say that's cheating. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Unless you're giving context, saying, hey, well, that's great and it's a valid way to do something, but you can actually learn a lot more if you do it without that method. Like, try it without the eraser for a bit. Not that using the eraser is wrong, but see what happens when you learn it this way and that way. But to go and establish this elitist mindset of this is right and that's wrong, like shut the. And the reason I'm annoyed by this so much is because it does have this kind of derogatory, dismissive belittlement attached to it, and it's just unnecessary. We don't need that in the art world. And I bring this up again because I had a video where I took a sketch and I selected something and I moved it over. Like that or something, and they said this is cheating. Like, you're so cheating in what? This isn't some kind of competition. We're not on stage performing for some kind of score and judges to hold up a 10. No one cares. What is cheating is taking other people's work and taking credit for it. That I can get behind and say, yeah, don't do that. And if you disagree with me, cool. Either lay out why you disagree in a mature adult manner or just walk away. Anyway, yeah, let's go with this middle one. All right, from here, gonna just look at the reference and then borrow the information. So the first thing that I see is this kind of part of the cloth that has a geometry kind of like this. So we're just gonna lay that in there very loosely as a sort of placeholder that we can design on top of later. And then there's these kind of nice curve lines, some C curves and S curves in there for the folds. And then this fold over here, that's approximately where the elbow is. We're going to take that, and for our drawing, we're just going to make it huge. And then put those fold marks in there. Fold lines. It's all right to be scribbly with it. Okay. Let's make that glove just huge. I'm actually going to put some buttons on it. Maybe some embroidery designs on the edges here. And these are just sort of like note-taking things for myself. So I can do it loosely here, but then make it more detailed later when I get some research and reference. Can make the hand small. So one thing I want to point out here is, if you've ever seen me talk about shape design with big, medium, small, golden section, golden ratio, Fibonacci sequence, blah, blah, blah. I try to, I don't even try, it's just more second nature at this point by finding appealing balance of shapes. And you'll notice here, if you look at this is big, this is medium, and that's small, and then small again over here. And it could have been any arrangement. It could have been the forearm being the biggest thing, and then the bicep area being small, and then the medium being the shoulder thing, right? So there's a million different arrangements, and it's up to you as the designer to kind of have fun with it. And you could, if you want, make it all even and no variation or dominant, subdominant, subordinates, but it'll just look too balanced and boring to me, at least. Okay, let's lay in some more note-taking stuff over here. And that glove is going to be huge. And here there's just a jumble of information. We got the bag, we got the metal thing, the rings and the straps and the buckles. When I do that over here, I'm just going to put in a like scribble. For me, that's saying, hey, there's going to be information here, so later I can come back and kind of refine what that is. But I don't really want to do that now. I just want to set it up right now as a concept to kind of edit later. Because if I'm, if I go all the way with the sketch and, it's finished as a sketch and I don't really like the idea, then I can abandon it. But if I had spent so much time being too detailed with the refinement early on, it could be a waste of time. However, if you're doing it as a study and you want to just get in there and learn things, that's fine too. I'm just giving ideas about techniques that I kind of use as shorthand and efficiency techniques. Drawing and talking at the same time, it's not the easiest thing. You should try it so that you can appreciate what kind of focus goes into making this content, which I'm very thankful for everybody already with the years of kind comments and support. So here I'm going to just lay in the head pretty small. And okay, so by the way, because I've been recording this course, I'm relearning a lot of things, and subtleties in the skull, like we know the cranium's like this and the jawbone kind of comes through like that, but here's where the cheekbone kind of goes through, and there's this part on the side of the cranium that kind of has a C curve like that, which gives us the location of where the eye socket is, but also this shape down here for where the jaw is, and then get the brow ridge in there and all that fun stuff, cheekbone, the mouth goes out. So I don't want to give away too much, but just a preview of all the types of mini things that we go over that really help make everything else much easier for character design, portraits, drawing from imagination, with or without reference. Okay, I'm gonna make this character really wide. We'll keep the mustache and the goatee. I'm just going to put a big box there for now. Going to make the eyes really small. I'm getting lost in the zone as we speak. I'm squinting and blurring my eyes, just kind of looking at the reference to simplify the information so I'm not too caught up with detail. Is there the top? Yeah, okay, cool. It's not cropped. Very nice. Right. And now we can see our character developing as a stylized, over-proportioned version of our reference. And as a reminder, we did that by starting out with this initial breakdown gesture, and then taking that same information, but messing with the proportions, making the rib cage bigger, the legs smaller, and all that stuff. It's more of like a bodybuilder version. All right, now I've noticed that the head is too far to the right, because you'll notice here in the reference, the right, well, his left foot, our right, is pretty far past the head, and the head is kind of before it if you draw a vertical line straight up like that. So I'm going to take this lasso tool and move it over, which it's not cheating. It's not a competition. Concept design is coming up with a concept the best you can, and if it requires rearranging things, then go for it. If there's some loser behind you saying, "Oh, that method is cheating and this method is cheat," like what credentials does this person have? Which industry projects have they worked on? Where are they in the world with their art? Like how amazing is their artwork, right? So if people try to like poke you and prod you and tell you this is cheating and that's cheating, take a look at their work and then ask yourself if you want to kind of believe what they're saying, or look at the work of the people who are really good and have credibility in the world, and who usually have your best interest in mind. They're not trying to control you or have, you know, some kind of dominion over you, like all these people who want to poke you and saying, "You got to do it my way." Like, no, do everything your own way. Don't let people tell you what to do. If you don't like how I teach something and you want to do it differently, that's awesome. Great. Go for it. I'm not going to sit here and say my way is better, although sometimes it is. But it's like, I'm not going to shame someone for doing something differently. That's just stupid. Cool. All right, now let's just draw in that shape of the gun in the back. It's got a nice triangular shape. Almost like an axe. It'd be cool to turn that into an axe. Then that would make sense, because if you're holding the gun and you don't want a blade going into your shoulder. Again, you might be thinking, well, hey, wait a second. This guy skipped leg day with those really skinny legs. It's like, it's a stylistic choice. It's not, I'm not trying to be realistic here. Okay, so we have these, I don't know what those things are. Oh, maybe gunpowder holders? Whatever. I'm gonna lower the opacity. And notice that the pattern, there's a pattern happening here where there's 1, 1, 2, 1, and 1. So 2 of them are clumped together, but the rest are pretty separate. So I'm just gonna mimic that real quick. As placeholders. Just draw some basic shapes to go in there. And the strings. Got a buckle there. So once we have the overall gestalt, or the overall figure, the big shapes laid in, then we can zoom in a little bit closer and then start putting in more detail. I'm actually gonna go ahead and do that with the face because that is the most fun part for me. I can actually use the round brush because at this level of detail, I don't want too much texture to interfere with the forms that I want to communicate. Okay, so during this next 12 minutes, I won't be talking. This is just the real-time footage of me drawing while looking at the reference. If you want to skip ahead to 12 minutes later, that's perfectly fine, or watch this at 2x or 3x if you have the Chrome plugin. I tend to do that pretty often on YouTube videos these days. Anyway, enjoy. All right, cool. That was a quick crash course on how to take a reference and then stylize it to different proportions. Hope that was helpful, and be sure to stay tuned for more information about the release of the course coming out for digital painting, drawing, painting heads, and all that fun stuff. Be sure to check out the links in the description for these Graphite Studio reference packs. And if you use the discount code of just my name, Ahmed Aldouri, I believe you get 20% off. All right, see you next time.